Ridiculous Crime is a production of iHeartRadio.
Zaron.
Elizabeth.
Zaron. Do you know I am going to start being early everywhere?
Really?
Yeah, I got here 20 minutes early. It's life-changing.
Oh, I was wondering
Everyone
how
should
you
show
beat
up
me.
early.
So you actually showed up somewhere early.
Yeah, for the rest of my life, early everywhere.
Oh, nice. I was raised by Navy people, and they beat that into me. So, like you do. The goal is you don't try to show up at the time. You try to show up like 5 minutes or 10 minutes before.
Oh, yeah.
And you make that the goal to aim at. Because if you try to show up at the time, like you say you have to be somewhere at 2, if you try to show up at 2,
No.
if you miss, you're over.
I went to Catholic school, man.
Yeah.
I usually show up everywhere.
No, I know. You're usually very
15
good.
minutes early.
Yeah, you're just very, very busy these days.
Things, you start to think like, what does anything matter?
Mm-hmm. Well, also you have your succulent fan club meetings.
There's that.
Your British tea cozy murder mystery meetings.
Oh man, yeah, those two. So
your
I'm trying
social life is getting busy.
Zaron, I have a busy on-the-go lifestyle.
I know.
And you know what's ridiculous?
I do.
Oh,
I
yes.
saw this story and I thought of you.
Uh-oh.
Minor league baseball.
Yeah.
Because your team is now playing in a minor league ballpark. So,
No, I don't have a team anymore.
Your former team, the A's, are playing in Sacramento's minor league ballpark.
Yeah, that's where they belong.
So I was thinking about minor league baseball and you see these two guys here?
It's two different guys?
Their names are Brad Feigl. They're both named Brad Feigl.
Brad Feigl?
Feigl.
Okay.
Feigl. Maybe I'm pronouncing that wrong.
Whatever.
So one is a minor league ball player for the Long Island Ducks. Another one is a ball player for the Las Vegas Aviators.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, right. So they're both, as I said, ball players in minor league, but they're all both pitchers. They play the same position. And they were into...
And they're both named Brad
Feigl. And they look identical.
They look exactly the same.
Identical. So they have the same doctor. They both got Tommy John surgery, and their doctor confused them and thought like, oh, because they have the same name, they look identical.
Did this surgery.
He's like, what are you talking about, man? I did this. Like, how did you undo the surgery? And then that's when they realized, wait, there's another Brad Feigl.
How does that work?
Yeah, so then when they find out about each other, they went and actually took DNA tests to see if they were related. Like maybe Dad was a traveling man.
Yeah, right.
So it was like kind of a hard to explain mystery, but it turns out that they were not. And
they're not related.
Yeah,
That's not a common last name.
They were not separated at birth. The DNA showed no biological connection. They just happened to have a really strong gene expression for the Feigl genes when they come through.
A common last name.
No, exactly.
And they have the same first. I want to retest. That is
so ridiculous.
That's weird, ridiculous. Do you want to know what else is ridiculous?
Oh my God, I'd love to.
Bunco.
Oh yeah.
This is Ridiculous Crime, a podcast about absurd and outrageous capers, heists, and cons. It is always 99% murder-free and 100% ridiculous.
Oh, you damn right.
I know I am. In my family, I'm known as the fixer.
Oh, yeah, the wolf.
That too. Like if someone has an issue, like I'm called in to repair things, solve everything, and it's a lot of pressure, but like hot diggity dog, I'm good at it.
Yeah. You really are.
It can be something like mundane, like travel stuff, or maybe like someone's having a meltdown and they're stuck in an unfamiliar city, or negotiations need to happen, and then I can get everyone to agree.
This is true. You are good. Yeah, you always ask the central question: what do you want?
Yeah, what remedy do you seek?
There you go. That's how you say
it. But from what you've told me, you play that role in your family too.
Yeah, but I do it with a much more of a blunt approach. Much more of like, look, this is what's happening. I'll pay for you to shut up. Like that kind of stuff.
That's fixing it.
No?
I got a fixer for you today. This one takes place in the Wild West, sort of.
Like the Old West?
Yeah, kind of. Like we like Wild West stories.
I love him.
And I have one for you today. This is full of characters. And I'm going to dive right into it, bro.
Yeah.
Getting right in. I'm talking today about Lou Blonger.
Lou Blonger.
Rhymes,
is a Wild
West
rhymes
with conjure. Lou Blonger.
Did he get lost?
It sounds
he
like
wandered
a
in
name.
From Canada.
It sounds like a name I'd make up.
Totally.
Right? No.
So my friend Lou Blonger.
It's a real name. He was born in Vermont in 1849.
Okay.
He was the 8th of 13 children.
Oh, the Blongers, they liked it, huh?
His dad, French-Canadian stonemason.
Oh, I called the French-Canadian.
Right?
Wow.
Named Simon Peter Bélanger.
That's a hell of a name.
Yeah. His mom was from Ireland.
Uh-huh.
When Lou was 5, the family moved from Vermont to Wisconsin.
Okay.
They went to a place called Schulzberg.
They like to keep it wooded?
Well, no, they out in them parts, they mined lead.
Oh.
Yeah, and they made cheese.
Oh, the Rocky Mountain area.
Yeah,
okay.
so the Rocky Mountains of Wisconsin.
Well, not the actual Rocky, sorry, yeah. The Rocky and the mountainous area.
The village that they moved to, this Schulzberg, that had only been around for like 30 years when they moved there.
Uh-huh.
You know, opportunity, I suppose. So Lou's mom.
Well, aren't all the towns new back then, really? It's like,
at some point, every town is new.
But I mean, really, then, it's like all the towns are like, hey, we're celebrating our 20th anniversary.
Woo-hoo! Enjoy the lead. Lou's mom passed when he was 10.
Okay.
And don't forget, he had 5 younger siblings.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's tough times, right?
What a life she had. Jeez.
Oh, man.
Poor woman.
Popped out 13 kids. Lou, he moved in with his older sister and her family.
Okay.
And then he changed his name. And his brothers had already done this. They anglicized and like simplified their last names from Blonger to Blonger.
Try again, guys.
Well, I'm guessing that they just made the spelling match the way that people were already saying it.
Blonger, okay.
Yeah.
Because they look at it and they're like, okay.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
see
because it's like correct
Blonger.
pronunciation was probably more common when they were in Vermont.
Oh, yeah.
Not so in Wisconsin.
I'm betting, yeah. Huh.
Yeah. So since things seem to happen every 5 years for Lou at this point, when he was a hair short of 15, he and his brothers joined up with the Union Army to fight in the Civil War.
Oh.
And so he put in for a 100-day enlistment, which was, I don't know, common for younger boys then? I don't know.
Yeah, and then it got extended. Usually.
Yeah, so they assigned him to play the fife, keep everyone in time while they battled the traitorous South. 8 days in, he fell down and hurt his leg.
8 days.
8 days. And he spent the rest of the tour in an army hospital.
Oh, he seriously hurt his leg. He didn't like step in a pothole.
Yeah, no. Or maybe he did and he just milked it. Was like, this fife
he's
ain't
a
for me. Yeah. So
General Patton would have had a fit.
Right. So, okay. Oh, well. War ends. He meets up with his 25-year-old brother, Sam.
Okay.
Sam hadn't served in the war. He was out west. He was just out there being rugged. So he did like minor 49er stuff in Colorado. He drove wagons through the Sierra Nevada.
We're like in the mid-1860s now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just after the war. So he was there for the war.
Totally.
Sam had come back to Wisconsin to visit the family. Lou was living with a pal of his. Sam sweeps into town. He wooed and then married Lou's pal's sister. Okay. And then he also sent Lou off to go to college in Chicago at a business college. Huh. And then off he goes. So he just breezes through. 5 years later, Sam and Lou, and then Lou's pal and his family, they all headed west. The railroad's humming now, so that sort of like travel was easier.
Yeah, you don't have to like take your life in your hands.
Yeah, exactly. So they made their way to Utah. And they hit up a bunch of mining towns. In each of them, they would either like set up or buy a saloon.
And they're from a mining town, so they know mining town culture.
They know mining people. Yeah.
They're like, we should sell drinks.
Yeah. We need to have a saloon. We're going to have to establish some sort of vice trade here.
We need a cover.
They do a little mining themselves, a little prospecting.
Why not? Might get lucky.
They might get deputized.
Oh.
The usual.
The real West.
They did this all over the West, really.
We run the vice out here.
Utah to Nevada to California and back. In 1879, Lou moved to Colorado. And when you think about that time in the U.S. and the Western states, everything seems so transient. So so many people made their way out there and they were often running from something or running to an imagined something. No one was really tethered and like everything must have seemed really temporary. It's so common to read about people who bounced around chasing opportunities or like looking for good fits until finally finding a place. But then you look at places like the South and that's just not the case.
Oh, yeah, completely. Even a lot of the Midwest that's considered the South, but is the Midwest, is the same thing.
Exactly. And so I feel like the subsequent crimes of those times reflect it.
Oh, good point.
Like there's a much more of like an embedded nefarious storytelling in Southern cons of the era.
Yes.
It's more subtle and paced, not like as brazen and audacious. Fraudsters and scammers and con artists in the West, they were dealing with people who almost had this sense of mania, right? And like they could be looser and grander with their claims and their stories.
And so you're a lot more suckers if you're just running after to get gold on the West. You're somebody who's already shown people that you will be happy to cross and do arduous tasks for a simple gain or whatever.
And magical thinking.
Magical
of, like,
thinking,
this
totally.
notion I'm going to go out there and just pull, gold from the river.
It's not hard to,
I may be off the mark,
rubes.
but, if I am, keep it to yourself.
No, I think you're spot on.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you. 1879, Lou found himself in Georgetown, Colorado. That's just west of Denver.
Okay.
And when he was there, he ran a theater that put on vaudeville shows. And pretty soon, the other Blonger brothers started descending on the town. Simon, the oldest of the kids, he got a gig as superintendent at the Robert E. Lee mine, which is curious naming. Marvin, the youngest, he worked there too. So this is a big spread. No sooner had this gang of Blongers reunited than Lou and Sam hit the road.
Okay.
They're like, we're out of here. They're scratching that itch. Maybe they're running from something. Who's to say?
So Lou and Sam run tight.
Yeah, those two are best buds. There's 10 years between them.
Totally.
But they're very close.
It's interesting.
So they went
They must have been
off
similar, or at least,
very, very similar in personalities. They went off to New Albuquerque, New Mexico.
New Albuquerque.
I've
never heard of New Albuquerque.
It was a little railroad junction that would eventually merge with regular Albuquerque as it sprawled out. So it becomes today like what's downtown Albuquerque, different than Old Town Albuquerque.
Wow.
Back then it was like the up and comer. It's the railroad spot. It's where all these new businesses
like
and
we should have settled here.
Yes. So Lou and Sam, they get there and they like really quickly ensconce themselves. In 1882, Sam was appointed Marshal of New Albuquerque. He turned around and then immediately deputized Lou.
Good call.
Yeah. So the two of them, they fought crime. They took down bad guys.
That's what the Earps did.
They also dipped into the vices.
Well, apparently that's also what the Earps did.
Opening a brothel, cop stuff.
Yeah.
In April of 1882, Sam had to head out of town to Denver for a bit.
Okay.
He was like doing some sort of mining deal.
Yeah, like a silver deal or something.
Yeah, so he left Lou in charge.
Okay.
Zaron, close your eyes.
Oh, wow. Eyes are closed.
I want you to picture it.
Hell yeah.
It's April 15th, 1882. You are on a train from Tucson headed to Albuquerque, New Mexico. Things got hot for you in Tucson a few days back. You and your associates got into a little trouble. Caused a little trouble. You were seeking revenge, but that doesn't matter. Crime's a crime, a murder's a murder. It's morning, and you can see the New Albuquerque station in the distance. You sit across from your closest friend, your brother at your side, 4 others in the seats behind you. You're hoping to outrun a state police posse that's after you. If you can get somewhere quiet with some cover, there may be time for the governor to negotiate a pardon for you and your boys, or more likely you can regroup and try and make it to Colorado. Your friend slowly, repeatedly flips a silver dollar coin into the air with his thumb as he stares out the window. The sound dances back and forth with the chug of the car on the rails and the occasional baleful whistle of the train. Oh, I should mention, you're Wyatt Earp. You and your vendetta posse, as you've been dubbed, are on the run after avenging your brother Morgan's murder and the maiming of your brother Virgil, too.
Oh, yeah.
You're on what they're calling the Earp Vendetta Ride. Yes. You're trying to get to Albuquerque because you understand that if you give interviews to the paper there, they'll keep it quiet that you're in town and they won't publish until after you're gone. It's a deal you'll take. The train has reached the depot. The brakes let out a mighty squeal. The sound of steam hisses alongside the cars and onto the platform at the station. What's the Walt Whitman poem, you think? The one where he's totally describing a train as a man's dingus, his shaft, his pecker? That's right, to a locomotive in winter. Type of the modern, emblem of motion and power, pulse of the continent. He wrote that. That's the train, all right. When the engine has finally halted, you and your posse stand and make your way to the doors. The station's empty. Not many people on this early train. You walk through the platform and into the station building. There, just inside, stands a man. He's got a full nose, powerful like a potato, and a big bushy mustache turned up at the edges like your pal Doc. He stands beside you, still flipping that silver piece. The man in front of you is also wearing a uniform and the gold star of a marshal's deputy. Lou Blonger, he says, acting marshal of New Albuquerque. Your men slowly lift their right hands from their sides to the holsters concealed under their coats on their belts. You lift a hand to stop them. You recognize this man. You played poker with him some 10 years ago in Dodge City. So you remember me, he says to you. You nod. You boys come with me, he says as he turns and heads for the exit. I've got a place for you to bunk down, he says over his shoulder. You'll be taken care of. The editor of the paper, he said he'd like to see you this afternoon. My brother Sam, he's the marshal, and he'll be back next week. We know what it is to take care of family. You shoot a look at your brother Warren. He gives you a slight nod. Lou turns and faces you out on the street in the glowing light of the morning. Don't you boys worry, he says, tipping his head toward your group. Like I said, we'll take care of you here. People keep their traps shut here in New Albuquerque if and we tells them to. You follow him down the raised wooden sidewalk. You look over at Doc and he raises an eyebrow to you. This Lou is all right.
Yes. Oh my God, that was the best.
So,
oh man,
I knew you'd enjoy that.
So, oh my God, that was better than Tombstone. R.I.P. Val Kilmer. That was incredible.
So the Earp posse, they left about a week later. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't long before Sam lost his job as marshal while off on another land deal. But it didn't matter because Lou and Sam, they went their separate ways and kept driving in that way that people did in the Old West.
Yeah, totally.
But you know, like Lou's drifting wouldn't last long.
Okay.
He would meet up with Sam again.
Of course.
They would start a whole new venture. Let's take a break.
You know how hard it is to run into your brother back then?
In like the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, there's not that many towns you're like going around. You're like, oh, I'll just go over this town over the hill. You're like, hey, Sam.
How do you reach each other if you don't know where you've gone?
Exactly.
So it's not like, oh, I can send a telegram and like,
Mm-hmm.
Let's take a break
Please.
and think about that. When we get back, we're going to hit the next stop on the Blonger tour and get into some actual crime aside from harboring a fugitive. Zaron.
Elizabeth.
How about them ads?
Oh, my goodness.
So good.
I got to put my wallet away.
I don't know about you, but I'm really glad that I listened to them. I feel like I'm a better person for it.
Probably.
Yeah, I think so.
You seem like a bigger,
It doesn't
better
take
person.
much,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Lou Blonger
grew one
it
size.
did. It's now inflamed.
Yeah.
Lou Blonger.
Yes.
He was drifting around the Southwest. Mm-hmm. He even headed out to San Bernardino, old Purdue.
Whoa, San Bernardino.
1888, he arrived in Denver.
Okay.
And so did his brother Sam.
1888, okay.
Reunited.
Uh-huh.
It felt so good. They got to work setting up enterprises on both sides of the law. So they opened saloons and they opened gambling parlors. Do you remember who else had gambling halls and saloons in Denver at this time?
Soapy Smith?
Soapy Smith. That's right. They were swindling the good folks of Denver at the same time.
Confederates of Soapy?
Yes. So Soapy, he ran the Tivoli Saloon and Gambling Hall.
And he was
Denver.
from the South. So maybe that Robert E. Lee mine suggests there's a lot more people from the South who thought, oh, we can all make a ride in Colorado.
Right. Yeah. And they should have left that behind. So Lou, you don't name things after. Okay. Anyway, Lou and Sam. They owned the Elite Saloon on Stout Street.
Okay.
And the place was over the top, like super rich, dark wood, like frescoes on the ceiling.
Lived up to the name, the Elite Saloon.
So elite, so luxurious.
And we're talking like Art Nouveau style pictures, I'm imagining. And
yes,
like,
very rococo.
And also ornate. And
So this saloon, they had all manner of like poker and faro tables.
Yeah.
And they also
Whatever happened to faro? That really fell off.
I don't know. Let's open a parlor.
Yeah, anyway.
Why not? They also ran something that we've talked about a number of times on this show. Numbers games.
Oh, yeah.
Illegal lotteries.
Oh, yeah.
So in some of our tales, that racket was just for neighborhood folks or for like rube prospectors. In Denver in the late 1800s, it was aimed at tourists. So like just like Soapy and his scam bars of soap filled with supposed cash.
Yeah.
So the Blongers, their policy racket, the numbers game, played into people's gambling addictions. They made it way too irresistible. But make no mistake, well, they would just juice numbers and like tease people in. When Lou and Sam got to town, Soapy was the one running the joint.
He
ran
what I
the
kind of
town.
imagine.
Denver had become known as a place conducive to running scams with like little or no interference from the fuzz. and Soapy made sure of that. So on top of the gambling and the vice, Soapy and the city fathers, they had this whole protection racket going, keeping the other crimers in line. So the Blongers and Soapy, they had somewhat of like an agreement. For a time.
Of course, they have to.
They'd tussle over territory or like the share of the rubes on the street, but generally they kept a detente.
Like when deliveries came into town, they'd be like, I'm going to get my portion, that kind of stuff.
Right, or like, you're pulling too many of these people off the street, 2 blocks over into your parlor.
Yes.
You're cutting them off before they get here.
Catchment area, if you will. Okay.
So I didn't really get into it in the Soapy Smith episode, but about a year after that failed takeover of City Hall that he had, Soapy absolutely wrecked shop on all the other saloons in the entertainment district. It was 1895. He's drunk as a skunk. And he's like just tearing through. He realizes like physically tearing through? Physically damaging these. He's in the middle of smashing up the elite saloon.
Oh, jeez.
Lou and Sam's place. When the cops finally caught up to him and hauled him away. And like Soapy is lucky that the cops showed up because Lou was behind the bar with a shotgun, trained on Soapy and like about to unload.
Oh, about to ventilate Soapy?
So it was actually this drunken rampage that was the wake-up call for Soapy.
And imagine for Denver.
Well, not really.
Oh.
So like his rebellion had been squashed. He was like no longer really running the Denver streets the way he had. No, you
can't. Once you lose,
yeah. And so that's when he pulled up stakes and went to Alaska.
Oh, yeah, right. The Klondike in Alaska.
Yeah, he's like, I want to be epic there instead. So Lou was like, I see a void. I shall fill it. Lou Blonger, now running Denver.
Oh,
he took over. So with Denver on lock, Lou and Sam, they decided to diversify their interests and go back into mining.
Okay.
So it's
like legitimately back into mining?
Yeah, it's like the ultimate draw for a gambler, I'd imagine. Because there's the possibility of striking it mega rich.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, and you can look like a hero or a wise man, when you find it.
And it's luck somewhat, but it's also a little bit of work.
A little bit of work, yeah. And maybe I got an inside track, Or
you're also God's favorite. It's a whole like, hey, I'm lucky.
There's that too. 1892, Sam and Lou, they found the Forest Queen.
Ooh, the Queen.
Not some Byron-esque mythical creature.
I was just about to ask. That sounds...
It was a gold mine.
Ah.
Right by Cripple Creek.
Oh, wow.
Not Robbie Robertson's fictional Cripple Creek chronicled in the eponymous song by the band.
Oh, okay.
No, this was a real place. And maybe the one from the song too, but in the song, it's near the Gulf of Mexico. So
yeah, that's what I was wondering.
Anyway, Cripple Creek, Colorado. The brothers found this gold mine. They named it the Forest Queen. They put it to work. And one of the work, though, is like reeling in investors.
That's what I imagine.
Yeah. So they got like judges, DAs.
They're selling certificates.
Yeah. J.W. McCulloch, who owned Green River Whiskey. He put up 20 barrels of the good stuff in exchange for a stake in the mine. Oh. So now that you've got the saloon stock.
It's like booze equity.
Yeah. Yeah. So the mine, it really did produce, though.
Oh, okay.
It turned out serious loads and there were like serious profits.
Yeah.
So you take the money they're making and their influential and straight arrow business partners and the Blongers, they're getting like serious power in the area.
Oh, yeah, I bet. They're basically early bootleggers.
Yes.
But on the legal side.
But so they're doing, this is completely on the up and up, and they're making all these influential people a lot of money.
Yeah. A drug empire is a great way to get rich.
Yeah, yeah. Lou moved his center of operations from the elite saloon to the American National Bank building.
Oh.
So he's like in an actual office.
Oh, yeah, like suit and tie now.
He wanted to look less like a gambling hall proprietor, more like someone interested in the mineral rights and places. This is a new era, though. It's the era of the bunco ring for Lou. Oh. Let's talk bunco for a second.
Please.
You mentioned it recently when you were talking about Bob Nygaard and the National Association of Bunco Investigators.
Yeah.
So bunco is technically a dice game, but when we talk about it here, we're talking about a type of criminal swindle or confidence game, a bunco scheme.
Totally, like a street game, basically.
Yeah, and the dedicated detectives who investigate these vicious felonies are members of an elite squad known as the Bunco Squad.
Okay.
Why do we call it bunco?
Why, Elizabeth?
It comes from the Spanish word banco,
Oh.
Bunco, meaning bank.
Yeah.
Basically, schemes where con artists exploit a person's trust
Totally.
or their greed.
Make like a fake bank and get people to invest in it. I got you.
We talk a lot of bunco around these parts.
We do. Big bunco enthusiasts.
1904, we're thick in the buncos, the bunks. Lou and his gang, they joined forces with this other con artist ringleader named Adolf Duff.
Adolf Duff.
Of Duff Beer.
I was just about to say, the founder of Duff Beer in the Simpsons fame.
Yes. So Lou picks up Adolf Duff. Lou had Adolf run the street level bunco stuff.
Okay.
So like staffing the cons, setting up the fake gambling dens and such. And like maybe buying and approving all the costumes and wigs.
Got a big costume budget?
I can only suppose.
One has to, you need wigs.
The bunco was strong.
So we're thinking like the Sting where they're doing like the big store type scams.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's this one. It's like their greatest hits one is called The Rag.
The Rag.
And it's a fake stock exchange.
Oh, yeah.
So Lou and his crew, they pulled this in Denver in the summertime, but then in the winter they moved it to like Florida, California, Cuba.
Well, that's where the money would be in the winter. They'd all be wintering in the...
So you start with the store. And that's the fake stock exchange, or in some cases, a betting parlor.
Yeah.
It's kitted out like some sort of movie set. So there are connected rooms, props like a desk, phone, like boards with stock prices on them, ticker tape, guys yelling, buy, sell, buy. It's basically the same, as you said, as the Sting, the movie Sting, except instead of off-track betting, it's a stock exchange.
Yeah.
And the Sting was actually based on another set of real-life brothers, Fred and Charlie Gondorf. There it is.
We need to look into them.
We do.
So they were doing a fake stock with, I imagine, telegraph reporting?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So you have the store, and then you have the lookout upstairs. That's like the business office. The manager works up there coordinating the guys on the street.
Okay, managing the floor in the street.
The guys on the street who pull people in are called the ropers.
Yeah.
And they would bring in the marks, the suckers.
Yeah.
And those were tourists because, like, you don't want to hit locals. It's too risky.
They know where you can live. They can find out where you live.
Yeah, exactly. And they spread the word. The roper befriends the mark, steers him toward the operation. And the mark is told, okay, I've got this like can't miss investment opportunity. And someone gave me inside info on stock that's about to skyrocket, right? So the
and back
roper,
then also all the mining stocks would suddenly break. So people would see like, oh, this load hit or whatever, the Comstock load. All the people who held stock in that were suddenly millionaires.
And you're in the epicenter of all this.
So it was very much like their .com boom or their whatever in terms of an equivalent overnight billionaires and millionaires.
Tariffs and such. So the roper is like, look, come check it out with me. Like I'm your new pal. Let's
get
the
in on
two
this.
of us. Let's see if it's legit.
Totally.
And so sometimes the roper would pretend to be totally skeptical at first and then be convinced by the legitimacy of the operation.
Yes.
So first things first, the mark.
And also he can kind of erode the skepticism of the mark by being basically in front of them, by being like, oh yeah, asking tougher questions. And then when they eventually are convinced, it's like, well, why am I still being resistant?
What more could they say?
I was less resistant than him before.
Right. So they get the mark to invest in a hot stock.
Okay.
And they show them the trades that are happening in real time. And when they buy, they're shown immediate returns, like the prices rise, the ticker suddenly shows a profit.
Of course,
the clerks are confirming it.
Bells are going off.
Maximum stokage in the air. People love making money.
They do.
And then when their greed pops in, it overrides any doubts they may have had. Suddenly, this is totally...
They get that first taste.
Yeah, this is worth it. So they're encouraged by their early gains. They want to invest more. Sometimes they get fake dividends or like partial payouts to further hook them in. And but you know what? You know what that smell is? A turn. A turn is coming.
The turn.
So once the mark's in deep, serious investments, the stock suddenly, quote, crashes. Or the office is just empty.
Yeah.
Like they have RUNNOFT. They're gone. And places deserted.
Remember the last time you saw me? It was...
So Lou, he went all out on the scam. He had actors posing as brokers, bunco ring members posing as fellow investors.
Yes.
Super realistic fake stock tickers.
Oh, yeah, got to.
The telegraph supposedly sending real-time data. Do you remember Soapy's fake telegraph office in Skagway?
That's what I was just thinking.
A town with no telegraph. Yeah. It was one of those units. My first telegraph from play school. So if they're going to pull this off, they had to go all in. Like the best SNL hosts.
Oh, yeah. You got to commit to the bit.
All in, no holding back. So the environment was super realistic, super convincing. Absolutely everyone from the receptionist to the stockbrokers is in on the scam.
Yeah. Sweaty, stressy, all the stuff.
And it's like a little cottage industry of its own.
It's like a total economy.
It's a theme park, basically, that they create. Every single outcome has to be controlled. So they have to have total handle on prices. And of course, because it's all theater, that's easy. But the most important thing is timing. Timing's everything. So you need to make sure that that when these reports are coming in or you've fully isolated this mark, that you're getting them at the right time.
Yeah, and the ticker's going off and the people know to be excited or to do the buy or the sell or whatever.
And you can't let anyone else get in their ear.
Yeah.
So they have to be totally pulled aside, isolated, that you have to be the only source of information or opinions.
Yes.
So no contact with legit brokers or voices of reason.
And back then it was much easier because they're out there in the middle of the West, essentially.
Exactly.
The telegram's the only connection to back east.
Well, and the SEC
and then you got the bank
exist.
people in town telling them oh, yes, we're doing this, blah, blah, blah.
But there wasn't the regulation.
Yeah, no, totally.
You didn't get the SEC till the 30s.
Yeah, no, totally. And some guy with basically a suit and some sideburns is going to be believable, especially if he's got a 3-piece suit.
Well, in a whole office.
Yeah.
And
a watch
employees.
chain and all,
Yeah, so and investors weren't educated. So the core techniques, this illusion of legitimacy, the fake platform, social engineering, those still exist in online investment scams, pump and dumps, fraudulent crypto schemes.
Crypto is a huge area for this.
Soapy and Lou would have loved crypto.
Oh my God, they would lose their minds over crypto.
I still don't totally understand crypto.
Unregulated money.
Yeah.
That you got all these suckers trying to buy on the idea it's going to be worth more tomorrow.
But I don't quite get it.
There's nothing to get.
So, but if someone were to try and explain it to me, I would be like, yeah. Sure. It's like the scam Melania Trump coin.
Yes.
And all those, whatever, a con's a con.
Exactly.
Right? I don't get it, but whatever.
If I tell you, give me your money, it's going to be worth more tomorrow, no matter what that is.
Okay. Yeah. So
that's a scam.
Over a decade, Lou and the bunco ring, they swindled millions from wealthy businessmen, tourists, speculators, anyone coming through town. Only twice in nearly 2 decades did Blonger almost get arrested.
Really?
Almost.
Did you not pay off the right people?
No, 1910, they tried to get him in connection with a scam ring in Iowa.
Well, 1910, things start changing because you have enough. You go through the 1890s and people just kept getting ripped off. And then you get into you basically flip over to the next century. Right before World War I, you have this push for we need to do banking regulations. We cannot have this. And also all the patent medicine. The two were kind of running neck and neck. People were dying and losing all their money.
He was able to, though, because it was in Iowa, he was able to be that has nothing to do with me. 1915, he had workers in his office doing a remodel, and they figured out what was going on in there, and they tried to rat him out. But he got out unscathed because he owns everybody.
So wait, he hired a bunch of basically house painters to carpenters to come in and build him a bunco lab?
No, redo his office. But then they overheard stuff and they saw things and they're like, we're going to the cops. And the cops are like, no, you're not.
Yeah.
So
he's a friend of the family.
Exactly. So Sam, he passed away in 1914. But the bunco ring only continued to grow. Lou's power and fortune just swelled.
Wow.
He started wintering in Hot Springs, Arkansas. He hung out there with an old pal of his, none other than Alan Pinkerton.
What?
President of the Pinkerton Detective Agency.
The founder of the Pinkertons?
Oh, yeah, they were BFFs.
That guy
in the
was
Hot Springs.
Not a nice person.
No, not at all. So things are going swimmingly.
So you're just ankles deep in water with Alan Pinkerton talking about all the people you've conned and beaten.
All the skulls you bust. Yeah. Things were going swimmingly at the Hot Springs, but then they weren't.
Oh, really? How come?
Let's take a break.
Okay.
When we return, more bunco.
Yeah.
Zaron.
Elizabeth.
Great ads. 10 out of 10, no notes.
No, none.
Unless there were some problematic ones in there, and then I say, boo.
No, I just had Post-it notes of like, more ads.
More, buy, sell, buy. Blue Blonger. Rhymes with conjure.
Yeah.
Bungo. I have to keep telling myself that.
Blonger
so
rhymes
I don't
with
say
conjure.
blonger.
Uh-huh.
Blonger.
Blonger.
There are a lot. There's, as an aside, there's this whole website about the Blonger brothers.
Really?
Yeah. And
Is it called Blonger?
It's called
.com?
BlongerBrothers.com.
Oh.
And they have a thing about the pronunciation that's not really helpful.
How so?
Well, they're like, you could say it like this, you could say it like. But then I found a lot of places where they said Blonger like conjure. So I'm going with that.
Okay.
I saw it multiple places.
You can call me Ray J. You can call me.
Blonger. Okay, so these dudes, they were fleecing so many people.
Dude, they're
and
good at
getting
it.
away with it.
Yeah, they don't seem to piss people off. I haven't heard and then so-and-so tried to kill them.
Right, no. Lou's running things. He's turning into quite the power player.
I bet.
So it made sense that in 1920, during the primary election for the Denver district attorney, Lou reached out to Philip Van Cise, the Republican candidate.
Sure.
He was like, look, I want to kick some money to your campaign, maybe send some votes your way, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Van Cise said, absolutely not.
Yeah.
I want nothing from you. No one ever said this to Lou. And Lou's shocked.
Is he the reform candidate?
Oh, yeah. But whatever. He moves on. Lou's like, I'm not going to lose it.
I guess I can't buy him.
Van Cise did not move on.
Oh.
He won the election, and then he put Lou on notice. He's going to go after the bunco ring, like job number 1.
Yes.
Within the first 100 days and all that.
Oh, yeah.
So this isn't going to be easy, though, because by this point, Lou pretty much owns everybody.
That's what I'm thinking. All the judges, all the people, all the cops.
Yes. And everyone had a good thing going.
Yeah, everyone's wetting their beak.
The whole clash feels very Nucky Thompson versus Agent Van Alden on Boardwalk Empire.
Oh, yeah.
TV is my only point of reference. I never learned to read. Keep that in mind. So
Must have made getting an English degree really hard.
It was really, really hard.
Is there a TV show of this book?
Because otherwise we are SOL.
Did the Brits make one? They make a lot of those.
They make so many good ones. Thank you so much, Brits. So Van Cise, he knew from Criminals because he was born in 1884 in Deadwood, Dakota Territory.
Oh, so he was just steeped in crime.
He's a son of Deadwood. He came out of the earth.
I was born in the mud.
That's badass to be like,
oh, heck yeah.
I'm going to start telling people I was born in Deadwood in 1884.
Yeah, totally. People will love that.
They'll believe me. So Van Cise, right? He's a lawyer. Obviously, he's running for DA. Served as a World War I military intelligence officer.
Oh, man. He's Roger, that guy?
Big crusading reformer,
yes.
Right? Everyone knows him. He's principled. He's incorruptible.
Oh, yeah.
He's fiercely independent. When he got back from World War I with all the counterintelligence
and a chest full of medals.
Oh, yeah. He put it to work, right? He's determined to take down the Blonger gang.
Oh, man. He goes to war against Blonger, essentially.
Yeah, and he knew the police were compromised.
Yeah.
He knew that the courts could be bought. He knew he couldn't trust City Hall. So he had no choice but to go rogue.
Oh.
Yeah. Van Cise knew that if he's going to go after Lou, he needs to have resources. So he created a private intelligence unit that was financed by wealthy, reform-minded businessmen.
Okay, so you got the other good, decent folks.
Yeah, so these men, they're all part of Denver's economic elite.
Okay.
Right? Bankers, industrialists, lawyers, property developers.
Sure, like a railroad tycoon.
Yeah, and they're all just like, they can't take the corruption anymore. Everything's, we're a national joke.
It's a new century. We're a national joke.
Yeah, and there's just too much criminality. They're not completely altruistic though.
No.
Some of them are just look, this crime is bad for investment. We're losing tourists.
I'm trying to milk other suckers and these people.
I get embarrassed. I go places. I'm from Denver. They roll their eyes at me. So here's some of the men who got in on this. J.J. Jake Benedict. He was this big banker, investor. He thought the crime ring was a blight on the city image and the economy. Okay. And he's the one who helped organize the financial trust that supported Van Cise and he played the part of the financial go-between and the fixer for the group.
Okay.
So Lou was seen, at the time, everyone called him the ultimate fixer.
Yeah.
See him coming back around to the beginning.
Bring it. Oh, yeah. Look at that loop. I saw that.
So now we got J.J. Jake Benedict. He's the fixer for the good guys.
So it's fixer versus fixer, spy versus spy.
Yes, and their little outfits and their pointy face.
Wigs, of course.
Wigs, costumes, wigs. Another dude in the rich guy anti-bunco club was Gerald Hughes. So he's another lawyer. He's a mining investor. He's super well connected. How is he well connected, you ask? Oh, Zaron.
Elizabeth, how is he well connected? Does he know unsinkable Molly Brown?
No, his brother was Charles Evans Hughes, former Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court.
Oh, snap. He is connected.
He's a true believer, right? He wanted clean government.
Yeah.
He wanted civic reform. And to get that, he funneled money to support the operation's logistics, safe houses, and surveillance.
Safe houses?
Extrajudicial stuff like you'd find in clean government.
Wow.
Yeah, so...
They're like running a coup. You know, they got safe houses and
basically,
like money funds and like dead drops.
Everything. So then there's Frederick. I'm just imagining them doing like the dancing dead drop where they do the splits. And they did that too.
The other dead drop.
Yeah. So then there's that's just in my head all of a sudden.
I like the
guy with the big bushy mustache and high heels. There was
and boom
and scene.
I gagged.
He's serving. Frederick Bonfils. Bonfils. He was the co-owner of the Denver Post.
Okay.
He was known for backing moral crusades, pushing for civic reform. And 1920, you're brimming with moral crusades.
I was like, that was the time.
The time.
Yeah, they were all about that.
We got the whole...
That and racism. Those were the two things like in the 1920s.
The era was thick with it. There's also the John Evans family, and they were the descendants of John Evans, who was Colorado's second territorial governor.
So
they're just like super powerful Presbyterian reformers, philanthropists.
Son of the founding.
All about cleaning up the city morally, socially. William Evans, the son,
high-collar people.
Very much so. So much starch. William, son of John, he was the president of Denver Tramway Company.
The railroad. Okay.
So he's like deeply involved in civic development. He has to have the city become respectable for investors and visitors.
Yeah, he's on the hook with his trams.
Yeah, all the trams everywhere, tramming it up. The rest of the group of rich guys, they stayed anonymous. They're like, leave my name out of it. Here's some cash. I get it.
I love that. Fall for it. Here you go.
Extrajudicial.
Call me when you're done.
Together, though, they created a secret fund that was had $25,000 in it. That's more than $300,000.
Yeah, that's plenty of money.
Now, so with that cash, they rented a private headquarters away from the DA's office.
Okay.
So they had their own store and lookout. They paid undercover agents and informants, the ropers. They purchased equipment like cameras, typewriters, wiretap devices, costumes and wigs. You're like, now we're cooking. We got costumes and wigs. It's over.
We're a going concern.
So the funds they paid for out of town surveillance, because remember the ring was operating all the way to Cuba. So they're like, I guess one of us has to go to Cuba. Yeah. Sorry. Van Cise, he's like, we have to have total secrecy for this.
And they're not working with the feds on this. This is wild. They're just doing this with the local money. And big ambition.
Yes. Just lots of...
Some plucky kids.
Nothing but a chapstick and a dance belt. So they're thinking, okay, since the Denver police are corrupt... most of them are on Lou's payroll. Yeah. Leaks could lead to murder, witness intimidation, sabotage. So everything has to be super secret. Plus, the businessmen, they feared for their lives.
As they should.
And the financial retaliation.
There's that as well.
Not just that. So to hide their involvement, they used shell donors. They met in private homes. In public, Van Cise just referred to them as my backers. And all records were kept off the books and stored personally.
They had a couple of weekly Bible reading meetings.
Yes.
And it's like, so you're going to be at the Bible reading
meeting?
They're
like, let's go read the Bible again. So the strike team was staffed with undercover operatives. Most of them were World War I vets.
Yeah. And this dude's friends with Pinkerton.
Lou is.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The guy they're going against
hire the
has
Pinkertons.
the best private detectives on the continent, and everybody they know.
Yeah,
they know all of the black market people.
So he has to go.
It's hard to find people they don't know.
Right.
Who are good at this kind of business.
But Van Cise, World War I.
He's got to go to
intelligence guy.
And go to
they're ones he knew.
Yeah, he's got to go personally. People.
Yes.
I mean, he's got to vet, basically. He can't trust anything.
Completely.
That's nuts.
100%.
I just put that together.
That's so good.
Well, no, but the Pinkertons. I was like, oh man, he should hire Pinker. Oh, he can't.
No, he can't. Yeah, so They monitored the known bunco men for months. And along the way, they're just gathering all this airtight evidence. They filmed and documented real scams as they happened.
Wow.
They didn't want Lou to be able to weasel out of anything.
Yeah.
And he'd have due process as afforded to anyone on U.S. soil. So they needed to come correct, though, with actual solid evidence. So they tracked how the victims were roped in, lured to fake exchanges, conned, and then dumped. Operatives posed as would-be victims.
I was just about to say, imagine they got to go in there and get fleeced a few times.
Firsthand, yeah. At one point, Van Cise's backers helped him tail and surveil the mayor, Dewey Bailey, because everyone was like, he's got to be protected.
Yeah, he's on the take.
Yeah. Bailey didn't ever get charged, but the surveillance helped prove how far the rot had spread. Totally reinforced that need for secrecy, too. So over the course of a year, they collected all this evidence against the Blonger gang. They tailed, wiretapped. Van Cise went through Lou's garbage on a regular basis.
Personally?
Yeah.
It's bring me the bags.
They had a dictaphone installed in Lou's office secretly, which didn't require a search warrant at the time.
Whoa.
Yeah, crazy.
And it would be voice activated,
too
I
early
imagine. So
on,
as soon as he starts talking, it clicks over.
I guess, yeah. Just too early days. So Van Cise...
Well, yeah, it's pre-Miranda rights and that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
But it's it's new technology.
Yeah, but I'm saying, so they don't even have the thought to make it oh, yeah, you're going to need
this.
Some legal protections.
Yeah, so Van Cise found that there was a police detective in the DA's office who was on Lou's payroll. And he's like, you know what? Don't worry about it. Van Cise just let him continue on his merry way, but fed him all this bad intel to mess with the bunco ring.
Oh, smart.
Yeah. So Van Cise, he's ready to launch a raid on the gang. He prepares everything in advance, down to the most minute detail.
I don't normally root for the cops, but I'm loving
this
his operation.
Guy's amazing.
Yeah, his operation's great.
The whole thing was carried out using private cars. Trusted volunteers carried out the arrest, so not police. He pre-rented jail space in the city jail.
You can do this?
Apparently.
You can pre-rent jail space?
I guess. He's like, I just want to book it out. Having a party.
I want the C block for the weekend.
And having a batch.
I got some musicians coming into town. They need housing.
It's his backers paid for all the deputizing of all the military vets. Sure. And those are the ones, like you said, he personally vetted all of them. The takedown was almost surgical. So Van Cise, he had a list of 67 names. And these were every single key player in the bunco ring.
67 key players.
Yeah, from Lou himself down to the ropers and the shills.
Yeah, and then the lowest deputies who are also
some
on the
guy
take.
in a crooked wig being like, "How can I help you?" sitting at a desk. And so any good cinematic takedown, they had to bust them all at the same time so they wouldn't tip each other off. You got 67.
Got to coordinate that.
Yeah. So can I call a timeout really quickly here and point out that it didn't look to me like there have been any movies about Lou Blonger.
Yeah.
So you need to call dibs on a screenplay.
Dude, I want that on Cice, man. Yeah. This guy is like an Elliot Ness.
Yes. Okay, so the sting. They needed to get them all at once. They'd put in so much work. They could not risk this falling apart.
Yeah, no, not at all.
And the worst would be if Lou gets away.
Yes.
Because he has connections everywhere. He could just disappear.
And you really want to get him.
Yeah, he's the key. August 24th, 1922. So it's early in the morning. Van Cise's team fans out across Denver in private vehicles.
67 people they got to pick up.
Yeah. Arrest teams, there were 2 to 3 agents per target. So that's a lot.
180, 120, 180 people.
Sure, if you say so. I can't do math. I don't even know how to read. These teams, they hit homes, hotels, saloons, the fake investment offices. And people are like, well, I got to open up my fake stock exchange this morning. Remember, no police are used. So only the trusted operatives.
Well, they're going to be busting some of them. So
exactly. Some agents pretended to be clients and then arrested the con men mid-scam. So they put one last undercover.
They know where they're going to be, 9 a.m. Okay.
Yeah. Others.
One last undercover. I just want to put the wig on one more time.
They pulled them from street corners. All the arrestees were transported immediately to the county jail where they had the pre-reserved VIP cells. All of the arrests happened within a window of 1 to 2 hours.
Damn.
And so by mid-morning, everyone's in custody, including Lou. They picked him up as he was walking down the street puffing on a cigar. He owned a cigar shop. He'd just gone in and picked one up. smoking a stogie, walking down the street. He and Duff were the first to be arrested.
That's smart.
So 33 of the rest of the ring were caught. They got held on fraud and conspiracy charges. The rest of the guys, they escaped because they were like further down the ladder, further out on the arrest schedule in the morning. Van Cise had everything on these guys. So they had the conscripts, the props, the fake telegrams, the stock ticker paper, testimony from out-of-state victims who'd been defrauded in Denver. Despite all of the pressure and all the threats, Van Cise prosecuted the case himself.
Like as the prosecuting attorney?
As the prosecuting
attorney. The attorney of record for every single one?
Yes, he Van Cise for the people.
Yes.
He did not trust anyone else to do it.
Good on him.
Yeah. Lou's lawyers filed motions. They bribed. They bullied.
Yeah.
But like Van Cise is like, what you going to do? Like my stuff is airtight. So the bust was huge news, splashed in papers coast to coast.
Oh, wow.
Because it's amazing entertainment.
Oh, yeah. It's like a Boss Tweed kind of guy going down.
But the Denver Post wouldn't print Lou's name.
What?
One of the co-owners, Harry Tamman, he was a good buddy of Lou's. But then remember the other guy, Fred Bonfils, the other co-owner, he was helping fund the takedown.
Yeah.
So it was a house divided. So Fred, though, he made the paper's editors end that embargo, print Lou's names, and then support the prosecution of what they were calling the, quote, $1 million bunco ring.
So once the music stops playing and the lights go on, everyone's like, oh, well, the dance is over.
Got to do it. The $1 million bunco ring, that's like the press nickname, right? And coverage is like reaching a fever pitch heading into trial. The guys, they were pulling in way more than $1 million a year, though. I mean, it was mind-boggling amounts of money. So during the trial, everyone's pretty sure the jury had been tampered with.
I'm guessing.
Yeah, Lou's guys had approached 4 of the jurors. And then they get to the 5th one that they're going to try and influence, Herman Oculi.
Okay.
He's crafty, right? He's acting like he's all in on fixing the trial. He took the money they offered, and then he went right to his boss, who went right to Van Cise. So the jury, like, they're deliberating, right? And it looks like they're going to almost be deadlocked because, like, after 4 days, 3 jurors still wanted to acquit, even though they have all this evidence, 0 reasonable doubt. So then Herman, he steps up, right? In front of all the other jurors, he told the 3 who wanted to acquit, quote, "The difference between me and you is that I got my $500, but I turned it over to the judge, and you've still got yours."
Oh.
And that freaked them out. Like, they didn't want to go down too. So they all flipped over to guilty. Immediately.
That's amazing.
So March 28th, 1923, the jury comes back guilty against Lou, all the other defendants who are still on trial. In the end, Lou gets convicted and sentenced to 7 to 10 years. He was 75 years old.
I was going to say, he's got to be up there.
Health wasn't the best. The trial really took it out of him. But what tipped him over the edge was the Denver Post. Because they ran an article after, like, you know, fair game.
Yeah.
They ran an article that revealed that Lou had been leading this double life for 20 years.
How so?
He lived with his wife, Nola, on the weekends. But during the week, he lived with his mistress, Iola Reedon.
Okay.
And the wife didn't know about the arrangement.
What?
She thought, he just works in the city
he stays in his office.
He's so busy. He makes me so much money. And
like a willful naivete?
I guess.
I mean, how do you think?
The revelation destroyed him.
Really?
Yeah. All he wanted at that point was his wife's forgiveness. That's all he cared about.
Then why did he?
I don't know.
I don't know why I asked these things.
They patched things up.
Are you kidding me?
And he transferred everything he owned, money, property, investments, everything to her before he went into the clink.
Well, he wants to keep it.
Lou, he lost.
He trusts her.
He lost a bunch of appeals, and in a last-ditch effort, he wrote to Van Cise and begged for leniency. This is what Van Cise wrote back. "What leniency have you shown to others? What God have you worshipped except the almighty dollar? When you stole Preacher Mena's trust funds, did you hesitate? When overwhelmed with shame, he committed suicide. Did you give any aid to his family? When you took the life earnings of an old man Donovan of New Orleans and reduced him from comfort to penury, what did you do to ease the last months of his life? You have been a criminal from the time of your youth. You've been the fixer of the town. You have prostituted justice. You've bribed judges and jurors, state, city, and police officials. You have ruined hundreds of men. With that record, tell me why a death sentence is not your due.
Damn.
When with his health, 7 to 10 years might have well.
Yeah, I think we're all kind of just saying the same thing.
And he did. He died in prison in 1924 after only being there a few months. The Blonger bust, that cleaned out Denver's criminal elite, like basically overnight.
Yeah, cleaned up the whole town, I imagine.
Van Cise, he didn't run for re-election.
That's all he wanted to do.
Yeah, he returned to private law instead of being tempted to be corrupted by politics.
Wow.
Like he didn't want anything. He did his job.
Respect.
He wrote a book called Fighting the Underworld in 1936. It tells his side of the story. And then his methods became a blueprint for fighting organized crime.
It sounds like it. I mean, you basically get RICO out of this.
And like pre-FBI, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. When you build a case over and show all the connections.
J. Edgar Hoover
worked this guy.
right from his playbook.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So because he used private funding, undercover infiltration, surprise prosecution, like that's how you bust rackets.
Totally. The surprise raid all on the same day.
Zaron, what's your ridiculous takeaway?
That I've never heard of this cat, Van Cise. I mean, I listen to a lot of the old radio shows, and they'll reference a lot of the stuff from the 19th century, a lot of the great outlaws, a lot of the great lawmen. Yeah. And this one's never come up. And I've listened to stories about Denver. I've heard Soapy Smith mentioned in certain shows as like a outlaw figure, and they fictionalize him like, well, Soapy Smith's got the so-and-so saloon or whatever. And I'm like, no, Elizabeth told me about that guy. Never have I heard about this guy. But I mean, it's just fascinating what gets lost in American history.
Exactly.
I was thinking about the day about Smedley Butler, the guy who stopped. You reminded me of this with the juror, where you act like you're in on the scam. Yeah. You get enough evidence and then you flip, right? As long as you're legitimately doing that, that's a great pull. And so I was thinking about that with him. He did that where he basically showed FDR that there was a coup against him. My point being that the ridiculousness is actually this, it's not prosaic, it's more like sublime. Like the ridiculous is the juror doing the right thing, and I didn't anticipate that. Yeah. Or Van Cise not running for re-election or trying to turn this into power and basically pulling a Cincinnatus and a George Washington and just walking away and remaining
truly incorruptible.
Yeah, so ridiculous in this one is that. Yeah, exactly. We so rarely hear about good men doing things like this, and how ridiculous.
And that's why you have to say, this guy is clean.
Totally, he's great. I love him.
And he's doing it for just.
You just want to protect people from penury.
Exactly.
You can't be taking all the money from the olds. So, Elizabeth, what's your ridiculous takeaway?
The characters. I'm just enamored of every character in this. That Lou and his family are terrible but fascinating.
Totally.
And then Van Cise coming through at the end. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I love good characters.
Thank you. Oh, by the way, thank you for letting me be Wyatt Earp. That was fun.
That was my gift to you. I need to talk back.
Producer D.
Talk back. Oh my God! Did he just say that?
OMG.
Thank you, Ridiculous Crime. Before I started listening to you, I used to park illegally and sometimes even on the sidewalk. Now, I have started a soup kitchen since I've started listening to you because you inspired me so much. That, and I have stopped my Tamagotchi and BMX XXX obsession and changed it to you.
Wow.
we do the Lord's work.
Dude, I'm telling you, I love to have an effect in the world.
You know what? That's
put down the Tamagotchi.
I feel like Van Cise right now.
Yeah, for real.
So good.
Reform.
That's it. That was so good. That's it for today. You can find us online at ridiculouscrime.com. We're also at Ridiculous Crime on Blue Sky, Instagram. We're on YouTube. There's animation on the screen while the episodes play. It's great for keeping on in the background. It's Ridiculous Crime Pod over there. There's another Ridiculous Crime that's trash. You want Ridiculous Crime Pod. And we may put out little special bits on there at some point. So it's a good idea to subscribe to the channel, even if you listen somewhere else on the regular. You can email us at ridiculouscrime@gmail.com. Leave a talkback on the iHeart app, like that gem, and make my day. Reach out. Ridiculous Crime is hosted by Elizabeth Dutton and Zaron Burnett. Produced and edited by King of the Bunco Rings, Dave Kustin. Starring Annalise Rutger as Judith. Research is by Denver's most terrifying enforcer, Marissa Brown. The theme song is by Phony Day Traders Thomas Lee and Travis Dutton. Host wardrobe is provided by Botany 500. Guest hair and makeup by Sparkleshot and Mr. Andre. Executive producers are Duped Tourists Ben Bolin and Noel Brown.
Ridiculous crime.
Say it one more time.
Ridiculous crime.
Ridiculous Crime is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.